Mr. President, do not come to Chicago. You are neither wanted here nor needed here.
The governor of Illinois. Other things he said today: unprecedented, unwarranted, illegal, unconstitutional, un-American. All of these words used by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who says he has had no conversations with the president about deploying National Guard troops to Chicago. That city actually seeing a historic drop in violent crimes in the first half of 2025. Despite this, it's the city that President Trump says he has his eye on.
To the public servants who have forsaken their oath to the Constitution to serve the petty whims of an arrogant little man. To any federal official who would come to Chicago and try to incite my people into violence as a pretext for something darker and more dangerous, we are watching and we are taking names.
Joining us with reaction is former King County Sheriff John Urquhart. So the president has said from the beginning about D.C., now about Chicago, about L.A., that this is about crime. What do you think it's about?
And don't forget Seattle.
Yeah.
They've talked about Seattle as well.
Yep.
I think there's a bunch of different ways to look at it. One of them is strictly political. You know, is he doing this, or he is doing this to bring the discussion away from what's going on, whether it's tariffs or Jeffrey Epstein. Question is it going to work? Is it going to do what he says it will do, which is reduce crime and make people safer? And I certainly don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. And from what we've seen in D.C., these National Guardsmen are hanging out at Union Station, Washington Monument, the mall. They're not in the high crime areas of D.C.
And oh, by the way, it costs a lot of money to move the National Guard to all of these places. Bear with me, because the president has said that crime is bad in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Baltimore, D.C., as you know. All of these are Democratic-run cities. And then the FBI, the numbers from its data tell a completely different story. So 13 out of the 20 cities with the highest murder rates were Republican-led states. 8 of the top 10 with the highest murder rates, populations with 100,000 people or more, also in red states. So Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana. So what does that tell you about the decisions that are being made about where we're deploying or seeing the deployment of the National Guard?
Well, it tells me it's political. It has nothing to do really with what's going on in these cities necessarily. It's all political because, like as you say, these are blue states, blue cities, African-American mayors in every single case, and African-American females in most of the cases. So that's what that tells me. You know, this would be much easier to accept, easier to swallow if he didn't lie about it and he didn't exaggerate, if he just told the truth about what he wants to do. But this over-the-top rhetoric just makes no sense, and it calls the whole thing into question.
And as a former law enforcement person, this is not about politics for you. It's about how you're seeing the use of the National Guard and how they're being deployed to work with law enforcement to do something they're not actually trained to do.
Well, let me say, when I was sheriff, I loved the feds. They were amazingly helpful. But I would go to them or they'd come to me and we would work together in a partnership. This is not a partnership. This is being imposed on these cities, being imposed on these police departments. And it's just flat out not going to work. And I don't think the people want their cities militarized. They don't want troops patrolling their cities. They're content with their police department, but they don't want they don't want the military in there.
And the military is not really trained to do what police are trained to do, are they?
They're absolutely not trained. These are, for want of a better word, these are weekend warriors that they go in on the weekends and they get their training. One weekend a month they go in, but they're not trained in community policing, problem-solving policing. They don't know what the local crimes are. They don't know what the neighbors and what the community wants, and that's what's so important in police work. How are we treating the community? How are we doing what they want us to do? That's what's absolutely critical. That's what gives us our support.
We're going to watch to see if and when Seattle and other cities are going to be put to the list. I want to ask you before we run out of time about the Decker case. The FBI is now taking over this investigation and it seems to be searching again, the same area that they've looked at many, many times. Tell us what is going on there.
They're doing it differently this time. They've got a quarter-mile radius around the crime scene, and they're doing what's called a grid search, which means literally every square foot of that area will be searched by FBI, the Marshal Service, ICE, volunteers, the sheriff's office, multiple sheriff's office, every single square foot to look for more evidence. My personal takeaway from what the sheriff said today, Sheriff Morrison, is they're looking for Travis's body. That's what I think is really going on. And if they come across other evidence, maybe he tossed a gun or a cell phone or clothing or whatever, so much the better. But they've got a fairly small window to do this.
Why?
Because in another couple or 3 or 4 months, there's going to be an awful lot of snow up there. It's going to be the undergrowth is going to be make it more difficult. And animals, if he is up there, animals are going to scatter his bones.
They haven't already.
They probably have, but it'll get worse. But they need to do it now, and that's what they're doing. They called it bushwhacking. The FBI special agent in charge called it bushwhacking. They're going through this really, really difficult terrain, looking everywhere. And like I said, I think they're looking for his body. They won't admit it, but that's
If
why
they
they're
are, do
there.
you expect that they'll find it if it's there?
Yes,
Okay.
if it's within that quarter mile, obviously.
We'll have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. We so appreciate your insight always, and we'll have you back soon.
Thank you.